It's been a while, but I'm back and I'm working on my C Sharp game engine again. And I've done a few things actually. At the end of 2022, I was working on my game engine and I was wanted to do an exercise of working in C++ again, which I haven't done in so long. I didn't really get like super far with that. I got some stuff rendering on the screen, just as like a challenge. But it was really helpful because I learnt CMake, which is used in all of the binding libraries that I use. So that's like GLFW, all the I'm GUI stuff. So I'm Gizmo, I'm Plot, I'm Node, I'm GUI itself. All goes to this thing called C I'm GUI, and they create C bindings, and then we make C sharp bindings off of that. So learning CMake was super helpful because I hadn't touched the C sharp project in like a year, so everything was like super out of date with the submodules. So I've updated all of those through Git, and it's all running on the top ones. And there was a lot of problem solving that was super useful. So that was definitely not a waste of time, like spending 2 weeks trying to get all those things working in C++, learning all the CMake and build stuff. But then I came back, I was like, right, C Sharp, I just love it. I love it so much. So I came back to the C Sharp one. And the first thing I did where I left off was I needed to get scene saving and opening working again, scene saving and loading. And the problem that I was stuck on when I left was that I had an entity component, a component rather, of my entity component system for the models. And if I saved it, it would save all of the model data into the save file, which is obviously not what you want. It's a resource. You want it to load from another OBJ file or whatever. So what I ended up doing was removing all of the mesh component stuff from my model and just putting the path. So the only thing that the model entity in my Eris is what I call my entity component system that I wrote is the path. And then I basically have a renderable model which has all the mesh information on that. And then when I load the scene, obviously only the model with the path gets serialized from the saved file, the scene file. And then when I go to render, I have a model provider and I say, hey, have you got a model with this path in as like a unique key? And it tries to get that model. If it doesn't, then it will load the model from disk with the async loader that I was using before. So yeah, that's how I solved that problem. It was pretty simple. I had to do some changes to the entity component system package just to expose some of the collection so it could be serialized. But apart from that, yeah, that's how I fixed that problem. Cool. Another problem I was having was everything I was rendering was upside down. So I made a camera class that had the look at projection, view projection, all that kind of stuff. But my rendered texture of my scene was upside down, and I was flipping it when I was rendering it or scaling it inversely on the y-axis, and it was kind of throwing me through a loop. I thought it was the mask that I was doing on my view projection was wrong, and I was like inverting something somewhere. But then I remembered that because I'm using BGFX, which is basically a layer above the rendering API, so you can switch between them really easily. I remembered that OpenGL renders to textures upside down. It's just, I don't know why. I'm sure you can Google why. I haven't looked into the reason, but I remember that was a thing. And so I edited the image shader that I was using to draw to the viewport, and I just inverted the y coordinate on the text coord, and that just solved the problem. Another thing that was going wrong with the rendering was that I wasn't using the frame buffers correctly. So when you render to a frame buffer or a texture, you can't read and write from the same texture in the same frame, basically. So what was happening was I had to render to a texture and then blit from that texture to another texture, and then read from that blitted to texture. So basically, just to fix it, I created the new texture, and just blit to that. I was also doing another thing wrong with there, that was kind of like a twofold thing. So I could see the scene rendering fine before the blit texture, but I'd only had one texture, and some of the what they call triangles were showing in front of others, and that's obviously like a depth error, right? You're rendering back faces that are behind other ones on top, which is not correct. And I had a depth texture, but all I was doing was setting, when I was creating the frame buffer handles, I was giving it all the handles, but I said to only create one. So if I did that before I fixed the blit to texture, like the whole image was red, basically, where there was meant to be rasterized, it was all red, probably because of this read write axis thing. So if in tandem, those two things solved the depth problem, and it solved mainly the depth problem. So yeah, that was something that I did. Cool. I think they were like the main two major things. Like, I did a few different things. The rendering with a different thread for I'm GUI stuff was helpful, because I had some artifacts coming up there, which is a little weird. Fix some shaders. And then the main thing that I've been working on is getting Gizmos working. So I now have the ability to scale, rotate, and transform models in the viewport with Gizmos. So that's something that I hadn't worked on before. There was a few things that I had to learn new there, because I'm using bindings, and I'd compiled those bindings. I had to pass the I'm GUI context from one DLL to another. I think in future I'd want to compile them all to be in one DLL, but that would take some changes to the actual binding, the generated binding code, because it gives it an external DLL to look for, and if they're not the same names, I can't use them from the same thing. So I'd have to modify those, have like a fork of the base repos, and change the external paths. But that's probably something I'll do in the future. But yeah, apart from that, it's basically all I've got done. But it's good progress. It's slightly slow, but we're getting there, and we're learning a lot along the way, which is really nice. So I'm planning to put out a devlog like this, hopefully higher quality than this, because I literally only just thought about making it a couple of days ago. So I don't have full videos of all the different bugs, which is always one of the funnest things to see when you watch these devlogs. But so I'll try and get some of that, more of the development footage along the way for next month. But I'm gonna try and put one out every month, at the end of every month. The goal for this year is I want to be able to make a Minecraft clone in my game engine. I feel like if by the end of the year I've managed to create an executable that is an awful Minecraft clone, like all the ones that you see on YouTube, then I will have accomplished something that I'd be proud of. I'm looking forward to working in shaders and all sorts, and doing some really cool things. God, the game engines are massive. There's so much to do. It's so fun though. That's what makes it so interesting, because there's so many things you can optimize and stuff, and I really want to get a real good handle on things. So yeah, next week I haven't decided what I'm gonna work on. I need to get the scene serialization stuff is working, but it only does it to one hard coded thing. So there's a lot of polishing and cleanup to do on these features to get them ready. But yeah, I'm really excited, and we'll see. I'll make an ordered list of all the features that I want to do in each month probably, but I haven't got around to that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again next month. Cheers.